Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. Today we're going to play Premier Draft Amonkhet Remastered. Amonkhet Remastered is a flashback draft format harkening back to the earliest days of Arena when it was still in beta. Amonkhet was one of the sets that was on Arena at the time. Now the remastered version, which they re-released, is slightly different than the original set. They've modified the sets and kind of combined them together to create the superset, Amonkhet Remastered. So it's a little bit of a different limited format than what we would have seen if they even had draft in the beta at that time. So we'll try it out and see how it goes. This is only, I think, my second Amonkhet draft, so I'm kind of new to this format as well, so we'll be exploring as we go. Anyway, let's jump right in and see how we do. Okay, pack one, pick one. The dual face cards are usually pretty strong. Nimble Obstructionist, I think, is pretty good. I'm not entirely sure what the archetypes are, but a 3/1 flyer with a useful ability seems good to me. So we'll start with that. Unconventional tactics could be a useful trick. Watchful Naga, I think if it were 2 mana, it would be a lot better, but 3 mana for a 2/2 is a bit much. Okay. Enigma Drake. So that wants you, it's for blue-red spells. Not another blue card, but it's only pick 2. So maybe there wasn't even one in the pack. Kenra Eternal could be fine. Cut to Ribbons is pretty good. Watchers of the Dead is a 2/2 for 2, which might be fine in this format. Doomfall, not sure how good that is. I think Enigma Drake or Cut to Ribbons are the picks here, and we'll take Enigma Drake because it is in blue. And maybe we end up in blue-red. Thorn Moloch has Prowess, which is good, I'm sure, in blue-red. Seeker of Insight. Compelling argument for Mill. I'm not really sure how good Mill is in this format. Floodwaters, a little slow, but it can be cycled. You can also play these dual cards just for one half, usually the first half, because I'm not sure how easy it is to put cards in the graveyard. I think removal in red could be fine, so we'll take Struggle to Survive. Alright, Strategic Planning. That would be good with Enigma Drake. On-Crop Champion, the signpost uncommon for green-white. So green-white is an Exert aggro deck. Thresher Lizard, not sure how good that is. Vizier of the Anointed is very specific. You need creatures with Eternalize or Embalm. I think you kind of want that once you have one of those creatures. So I think we take Strategic Planning. Okay. Cartouche of Knowledge is, I think, fine. Although it's not an instant or sorcery. I could take Tormenting Voice. Or Pursue Glory, although Pursue Glory is kind of expensive, although it is instant speed. I think we'll take Tormenting Voice. Alright. 3 damage for 3, a little overpriced, but it is instant speed and its removal. I don't think Fervent Paincaster is good. So some more mill as well in Seer of the Last Tomorrows and Ipnu Rivulet. Okay. Kefnet's Monument does work with the blue creatures I have so far. Ramunap Ruins could be good as reach. Get in those last few points of damage. Not sure if Zealot of the God Pharaoh is good. Spellweaver Eternal could be good. I think it's Kefnet's Monument. Alright, Crash Through is sort of one of those cantrips. You can even just cast it to draw a card and put a sorcery in your graveyard for, say, cards like Enigma Drake. Countervailing Winds as a counterspell. That actually might be better because that goes with my Nimble Obstructionist, because I can hold up Countervailing Winds or flash a Nimble Obstructionist. Essence Scatter. Nimble Blade Kenra does have prowess, so that could be interesting, but I think I like Essence Scatter. Countering creature spells is usually pretty good in Limited, since that's the majority of cards people are playing. I think Thorned Moloch with prowess is more what we're looking for, rather than the Kenra Scrapper. Although a 4/3 for Menace isn't that bad. I'm not sure how good Seeker of Insight is, but we'll take it to cut blue. I'm not interested in any of the other cards. Thresher Lizard. Four 4 if I empty my hand. Pursue Glory. Could be a finisher. And we get Fervent Paincaster last. I'm not sure that makes the cut. That didn't seem very impressive to me. Hexproof, a little expensive, but you can cycle it. Drawing 3 for 6. I'm not, and it's an enchantment. If it were a sorcery or instant, I think I would be more interested. Or I could take another Open Fire or a Tormenting Voice. I think I like Open Fire here. Take more removal. Ooh, Sphinx's Revelation. I'm not sure what the fixing is in this set, so I don't know if I could splash Sphinx's Revelation, but that's easily the best card for a spells deck in this pack. And I think it's better than a Tormenting Voice or Zealot of the God Pharaoh or Striped Riverwinder. So I think we're going to try it, and then we'll keep an eye out, I guess, for colorless fixing. Brute strength is fine. I think I like another open fire. Another flyer wouldn't be bad. We can even cycle it if we're not close to casting it. Temet is not a splash card. You want to be playing cards like Temet early. You don't want to be splashing them. So I think we take another open fire. Claim to fame, except I'm not in black. I think Unquenchable Thirst. It doesn't synergize with the rest of my deck, but its removal. I mean, I've got lots of open fire, but this can deal with a creature that's too big for open fire. All right, Aven Initiate. Another flyer. I've got 6 creatures, and I'm not sure how many of them are making the cut, like Fervent Paincaster or Thresher Lizard. Brute Strength would also be fine, I think. Ooh, On-Crop Crasher is pretty good. How many open fires is too many open fires? Could also try to splash Final Reward, but I think that's probably a bit ambitious. I'll take another open fire. Slither Blade is evasive. It's kind of small, and it's not a good blocker, but it's probably better than a tap land. I don't have any desert synergies. Alright, Hieroglyphic Illumination is exactly the sort of card we want. A draw 2, and you can cycle it. I don't think... This is more of a sideboard card, a card like by Force. This set doesn't strike me as an artifact synergy set. Strike Riverwinder doesn't have evasion, and I don't really have a way of making use of the hexproof by like putting auras on it, so I think I like another Tormenting Voice for more card draw. Alright. Haven't seen any colorless fixing. Maybe I take Desert of the True. Oh, I took the wrong desert. Shimmer Scale Drake. I don't think I want to the Shafet Junes and have to pay life to splash Sphinx's Revelation, but too late now. Zealot of the God Pharaoh will take it. Another Thresher Lizard. A 2/4 for 4. I'll take it, but I'm not that excited. Heaven to Earth would be fine if I could splash, but I haven't seen any fixing in colorless, so I don't think we can take that here. I think Winds of Rebuke is fine. It's instant speed interaction for tempo. The milling 2 isn't that important for me, but it could still be useful. I'm not sure about Kefnit's Monument. I think we take another Winds of Rebuke. Well, we're making playables, which is nice. It'll just be a question of figuring out what's actually playable. Hour of Devastation. Firebrand Archer would be fine for us. Essence Scatter. I think we're controlling enough that a board wipe seems like a powerful option, but that was definitely difficult. There were quite a few cards that I would have liked to have had, and I doubt that Essence Scatter or the Firebrand Archer will. Another Enigma Drake. Magma Spray would be nice. The reduce half of Reduced Rubble seems pretty good, but I think I like another Enigma Drake. Failure to comply. The failure part would be fine. Nothing here particularly interesting. Maybe I just take the rare. Blur of Blades doesn't seem that interesting, so I think we'll just rare draft here. Seven damage for 5 isn't terrible. An Aven Initiate would be fine. Gate to the Afterlife, if I had a Godfarer's Gift, I would consider it. I don't think I need another Tormenting Voice. Magmaroth, I'm not sure about. Maybe I just want something like the Nephcrop Entangler. Yeah, I also need some early creatures. Okay. I'm mostly getting in with evasive creatures, so I don't really need Crash Through. Maybe I take Shimmer Scale Drake. I think I like that better than Magmaroth. Alright, Cartouche of Knowledge. Prowess Creature could be good. I'm not sure. Essence Scatter. Pick 11, Essence Scatter. Works for me. Oh, Reduced Rebel came back. I'm not sure Reduced Rebel makes the cut. Because I've also got other counter spells. Okay. So we've got a lot of cards to go through. So could take a while to do deck building. So what I think we'll do is I'll build the deck off camera, then I'll show the finished product, and then we'll get into the gameplay. So I think that's how it's going to work. And we didn't get any colorless fixing for Sphinx's Revelation, so I think that might not be happening. We also have 2 Tormenting Voice and a Hieroglyphic Illumination for card draw. The life gain would be pretty nice though, too. Strategic Planning also provides card advantage. Seeker of Insight loots. I'm not sure how good a 1/3 blocker is in this format. And we are likely to have lots of non-creature spells. I've got 22 so far. 15 instants. That's the more instants you have, the better, because they work well together. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is build the deck off camera, and I'll show you what I hope is the optimal build. And you'll have to let me know in the comments later if you agree with my decision. Anyway, let's get that done, and I'll come back with the finished product. See you in a bit. Alright, so here's the finished deck. As you can see, we are blue-red spells with 2 copies of the Signpost Uncommon Enigma Drake, whose power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. And so we removed all of the non-creature spells that are not instants or sorceries. We're not splashing the survive half of Struggle to Survive. We actually don't want to shuffle our graveyard into our library because we want the instants and sorceries in our graveyard to power up Enigma Drake. And so we are fairly controlling. We only have a handful of creatures, most of which are flyers. We are playing Thorned Moloch since it is a decent attacker and it has prowess. And then Seeker of Insight is usually going to be able to loot for us. We're still playing 17 lands, but between Seeker of Insight and Tormenting Voice, we can usually avoid getting flooded too badly. And it's not even that bad if we have a fair number of lands, because Struggle deals damage equal to the number of lands we control. And we're playing 17 lands. We still want to be sure to hit our land drops, because we want to be able to cast our spells reliably. And then our few creatures, mostly flyers, Nimble Obstructionist as a good disruptive play, Enigma Drake as a huge threat, and Aven Initiate just as another flying threat that we can also recur from the graveyard. We've got plenty of removal, a couple bounce spells, a couple counter spells. I am playing 1 enchantment, my mistake. I am playing Unquenchable Thirst as removal for something very large that I can't remove with, say, an Open Fire or Hour of Devastation. I'm not sure how many creatures have Indestructible in the set, but Hour of Devastation will assure us that anything that does is still not going to survive Hour of Devastation. Obviously, we're going to hope we don't draw Hour of Devastation once we already have developed our board, because all of our creatures die to it. I mean, we can get Aven Initiative back if it dies to Hour of Devastation, but we don't have Graveyard Recursion for any of our other creatures. I'm not trying to splash Sphinx's Revelation. If I had colorless fixing, I would consider it, but relying on a handful of white sources doesn't seem to be the way to go. And this way, my mana is completely consistent. I don't have any problems with, say, having an opening hand with a plains in it and then not being able to cast some of my spells. 9/8 split, because it's fairly even. So this is what I'm going with. I'm not sure if the blue-red spells archetype is strong in Amonkhet Remastered. It certainly isn't in Bloomburrow, so hopefully this set does not replicate the archetypes in Bloomburrow in terms of strengths and weaknesses, but only the gameplay will tell that. So that's our deck. So let's jump into some gameplay. See you there. On the play, I only have one 2-mana creature, so can't expect to draw it all that often. But we do have Tormenting Voice in our opening hand as a play on turn 2, and we are in the play, so it shouldn't be as big a problem if our first creature doesn't come down till turn 3 with Thorn Moloch. We also have one of our open fires in our opening hand and 3 lands, and we can cast... I mean, we do need to draw a few more lands to be able to cast all of our spells, but this is good enough to be getting on with, and our only spell that's double red is Our Devastation. So I think this is keepable. Probably discard a Tormenting Voice to the other Tormenting Voice. Although I could consider discarding a land if we draw, our first draw step is a land. So we'll try it. Opponent leads with Plains, plays Sacred Cat. We draw Struggle to Survive. Another removal spell is not bad. So opponent does seem to be fairly aggressive. They can recur it from the graveyard using Embalm, although that only creates another 1/1 copy. So it's not that much of a problem later in the game. I didn't draw a land, so I think I do discard the other Tormenting Voice. Alright, so opponent is blue-white, plays Spellweaver Eternal. Struggle is an instant. Thorn Moloch. Maybe wait until I can hold up an instant to go with it, although all of my instants are 3 mana, so that's waiting a little long. So maybe we just play it now, hope opponent doesn't resolve something I wish I'd countered. And we'll just have to take a hit from Spellweaver Eternal. And then next turn I can hold up my instants. Opponent plays their 3rd land. I could trade with a Spellweaver Eternal. I take 2 off of it. Thorn Moloch is my only creature right now, so I think we take it. We draw Aven Initiate. Alright, so here... we'll hold up our instance. Opponent hits their 4th land drop. We're sort of mirroring each other. I could counter that. I can kill it with struggle. Maybe I hold countervailing winds for something better. Those who serve doesn't seem that exciting. Alright, and then I think the Spellweaver Eternal probably still their best attacker. So I think we kill that here with open fire. Struggle can kill those who serve. Another land, that's actually fine. That means I can cast Strategic Planning and then hold up Struggle and Countervailing Winds. Struggle now deals 5 damage. And Strategic Planning makes Countervailing Winds a lot better since I put the other 2 cards in my graveyard. So right now, Countervailing Winds, opponent needs to pay 3 for each card in my graveyard, but with Strategic Planning, that'll be 6. So Countervailing Winds, basically a hard counter. Alright. We'll send 2 lands to the bottom. Essence Scatter is a fine draw. I can't attack with Thorn Moloch, but I wasn't really planning on attacking. And then once they get 3 Brit counters, they can prevent my Thorn Moloch from blocking. But I think as long as we control the board, that should be fine. Opponent hits their 5th land. I think we'll counter that. Alright, Deem Worthy. Also instant speed. So Countervailing Winds counters target spell unless opponent pays 7. So I think that's good. I could consider tapping out for Aven Initiate here. That will mean that opponent will be able to get an attack in with those who serve. But I probably need to get this Aven Initiate out soon, and it's going to be a long time before I can cast Aven Initiate and still hold up one of my other instants, so probably best to get it out. Opponent cycles Censor, which I would have been able to pay for. Alright, we'll take 2 from those who serve. Another land. Alright, opponent has the 3 brick counters on Edifice of Authority, so they make it so that I can't block with my Thorn Moloch. Anointer Priest. Opponent can do something at instant speed. Could just be using Itnu Rivulet. So that's annoying that I can't attack or block until opponent's next turn. So now I am kind of wishing I discarded a land to Tormenting Voice instead of the other Tormenting Voice. Not sure how good that's going to be, but I think we'll counter that. Yep, opponent's going to activate their Edifice of Authority. Winds of Rebuke, which I can cast alongside Deem Worthy. Although that might not be the best, since the opponent might be happy if I mill an Embalm or Eternalized creature. Could take 2. I should probably be spending my mana here. I'll wait. And we draw another land. So yes, now I am definitely regretting the decision to ditch Tormenting Voice with the other Tormenting Voice. Opponent has Supreme Will. With all of our lands we have, we could have even paid for Supreme Will with Beamwork. Well, we couldn't have last turn, but we can now. They can embalm Aven Initiate if I destroy it. Alright, Hieroglyphic Illumination. I can also use Wind's Rebuke to bounce tokens. So that's actually pretty good. Opponent embalms Anointed Priest. The downside of not having more creatures is that my Thorn Moloch has been shut down by Edifice of Authority. Alright, Enigma Drake. So that's good because that means they'll have to target Enigma Drake with Edifice of Authority. And I'll have Thorned Moloch. Alright. They'll bounce the flyer. We draw another Enigma Drake. We milled Seeker of Insight and open fire. So the other Enigma Drake was a great draw. Opponent is empty-handed. They still have Ipnu Rivulet. Nimble Obstructionist. Alright, so opponent is dead in 2 turns. And then I can flash in Nimble Obstructionist to counter the Aketra's Avenger's Exert ability. So I can block it and kill it with Thorn Moloch, assuming they attack with it. Aerial Guide. Oh. That didn't counter it. How come that didn't work? Well, I could Hour of Devastation. I'm not sure how many creatures I have left. I've milled Seeker of Insight. I'm down to 10 cards as well. Plus, if I only have one creature left, they can win by milling me out with Edifice of Authority and Ipnu Rivulet. Opponent has 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers. They can give another attacking creature flying. I am down to 2. Thorn Moloch is first strike, so yep. Alright, well, it's now or never with Hour of Devastation. Oh. There's my even initiate. So I might be out of creatures. Alright, so we're going to survive this turn. But I have 8 cards in hand, and I don't think I have another threat. Well, opponent surveils 3, so Essence Scatter. Well, that doesn't do it. Good game. Well, that's too bad. If I had drawn my Hour of Devastation when I only had the Moloch in play and destroyed all of opponent's creatures, that would have been a lot better timing that when I actually drew it. And although opponent had fewer cards in their library after surveilling with Naga Oracle and binning your 3 lands, 6 to my 7 after I drew Essence Scatter, they still could have milled me out, even if I'd had drawn removal for Naga Oracle with Ipnu Rivulet. So I don't think we were winning this game anyway. So that was too bad. So, must be said, not an auspicious start for Blue-Red, but we'll try and rebound. On we go. On the draw, we've got interaction with Winds of Rebuke and Open Fire, Thorn Moloch, Enigma Drake as threats, 3 lands. I mean, as wiser players of I have said, you pretty much just want lands and spells. That's what we've got. So I think we keep this. Enigma Drake, not going to be the biggest right now, but we'll probably mill an instant or sorcery so that Enigma Drake will get bigger. And it's nice that I have 2 threats. Drew a land. Opponent leads with Swamp. Vizier of Remedies. I could bounce that. At least I'm not putting -1/-1 counters on opponent's creatures. So that doesn't bother me so much. They might be playing creatures that enter with -1/-1 counters, so that makes Vizier Remedies better. I think we Tormenting Voice here. I've learned my lesson. I'm discarding a land. I'll keep the Mountain because I need double red for Hour of Devastation, but there's nothing I need double blue for. Alright, we take 2 from Vizier Remedies. Opponent has Wasteland Scorpion. So if I play Enigma Drake, I can block Vizier Remedies. It'll have 1 power. Can't block the Wasteland Scorpion. Thorn Moloch trades right now, but 3-drop for 3-drop, probably not bad. I could also hold up an instant. I think we'll do that. Opponent hits their 4th land. We'll kill the Death Touch creature since it can trade with Enigma Drake no matter how big the Drake gets. Alright, Dune Beetle, that's fine. Not sure I want to play Enigma Drake into removal, although I don't have... I guess I could, if I play it next turn, I'll have Winds of Rebuke, so I can bounce it in response to removal. So maybe we hold up Open Fire and Essence Scatter. And then next turn we can play Enigma Drake and we'll still have Winds of Rebuke and Essence Scatter available. Opponent cycles Scarab Feast. Actually would have been a pretty good card against me. I'll take 3. So I can hold up Essence Scatter. And then end of turn we'll Open Fire the Vizier of Remedies. Going wide is a problem for me, so I'll counter that. Alright, Nimble Obstructionist. We'll get Enigma Drake down. So we've got Winds of Rebuke to protect it. Opponents hitting their land drops. They have 2 cards in hand. Yeah, so Lethal Sting with Vizier of Remedies. So they don't have to put a -1/-1 counter on anything. Alright, opponent taps out, is empty-handed. We milled Aven Initiate, so we can embalm it once we hit 7 mana. And we've got Open Fire up. And if we don't need to Open Fire, we can flash in Nimble Obstructionist. Opponent is top decking. And we still have more card draw. Opponent could cast Finish. I guess I should have played Thorn Moloch then. Alright, so Thorn Moloch blocks opponent's creatures. I should have been paying closer attention to the fact that they had start to finish and were able to aftermath that. Or I would have played Thorn Moloch. And then we'll flash in Nimble Obstructionist. Opponent hits a land. So they don't have attacks. And then I think we'll hold up strategic planning for next turn when we can consider employing Seeker of Insight. But having another blocker is nice. Another Wasteland Scorpion. I'm fine trading the Thorn Moloch for that. Another Enigma Drake. Again, I think we'll hold up strategic planning. We'll wait to cast it until I can get the most out of it. And we'll trade Thorn Moloch for the Wasteland Scorpion. Alright, Unquenchable Thirst. So let's cast Strategic Planning to make Enigma Drake bigger. We already have a turn 2 clock. And then we'll hold up Seeker of Insight, and then we can activate it at instant speed at end of opponent's turn. And there we go. The second Enigma Drake goes the distance. Alright, so that was a much better showing of blue-red spells. On we go. Okay. On the play, no creatures, but we have Struggle to Survive, Open Fire, Strategic Planning for card draw, Essence Scatter. So I think we can keep this. We'll prioritize finding a threat with Strategic Planning. And then I think we cast it on turn 2. And Open Fire, Struggle, hopefully we'll be able to deal with opponent's turn 2 play. And we have double red, 3 lands. We've been lucking out with lands in our opening hand. We've had 3 each time, which is kind of like the magic number. Opponent leads with plains. Tormenting Voice. There's nothing I really want to discard to Tormenting Voice, so I think I Strategic Planning instead. Alright. I mean, another Essence Scatter would be nice, but I think it's Enigma Drake. And then Enigma Drake is already a 3-power creature. Opponent leads with Spellweaver Eternal. I draw another Enigma Drake. So I could tap out for Enigma Drake since I've got the other one, I think that's reasonable. Opponent also not likely to be able to get Spellweaver Eternal big enough to attack past Enigma Drake. Although they could, they only need 2 spells. But we can take a hit from the Spellweaver. It'll be very sad if opponent has removal for Enigma Drake, but I don't have countervailing winds to counter that anyway. Alright, so I can sacrifice it to gain 2 life. Missing a land drop is a little annoying. Alright, opponent has something they can do for 1 mana. Could be Censor. No, no, you can cycle Censor for 1 mana. So, not drawing my land means that if it is Censor, then they can counter my open fire. But I think we have to cast it anyway here. Okay, it's not Censor. Aven Wind Guide. I could struggle that. Could play Enigma Drake. And maybe I do want to struggle that. It's got Embalm, so they can get it back. Although it's not eternalized, so it's still only a 2/3 copy of itself. We hit our land drop, which is useful. And then I think even though I could do this at instant speed, we still do this while opponent's tapped out. Then I could cycle Hieroglyphic Illumination, but I think I like holding it up. Aerial Guide. If we'd hit our land drops like we were supposed to, we could have countered Aerial Guide. Alright. Only have 1 blue source is definitely a drawback. Maybe I should have discarded Mountain. There's nothing I actively want to discard with Tormenting Voice. Mountain would have been it. Alright, opponent can do something at instant speed. Could still be Censor, I guess. Maybe they decided not to counter the open fire. So opponent can Embalm Aven Wind Guide. And of course, they've got removal for my Enigma Drake. Thorn Moloch. Alright, we'll counter that. Okay, Hieroglyphic Illumination is land number 6. And I could use another blue source, so I think we cast Hieroglyphic Illumination. I could consider discarding Aven Initiate to Tormenting Voice, although I should have done that first main to get in more damage with Thorn Moloch. We're one land short of being able to embalm Aven Initiate. And at this point, I'll discard lands to Tormenting Voice. I could cycle Deemworthy to destroy Aerial Guide, so they embalm the Aven Wind Guide. And then we discard Mountain to Tormenting Voice, which also allows us to attack in with Thorn Moloch. Alright, so let's trade with Aerial Guide here. I guess it doesn't really matter. I can Unquenchable... Maybe I trade with the Aven Wind Guide token so I can Unquenchable Thirst Aerial Guide because it's already tapped. Yeah, that's probably better. Alright, another land. So I can embalm Aven Wind Guide. And we've got Deemworthy and Open Fire. Opponent flashes in Mind Sensor. So if I cycle Deem Worthy, I can deal 2 damage to target creature, and they can't counter it. So maybe that was what they were holding up, another aerial guide. I doubt I'll need the 7 damage mode. Alright, another open fire. Alright, so we have 8 mana. Open fire does 3 damage to any target. So I think we attack with Thorn Moloch. Can I kill opponent if I hit them? No, because I'll do 10 damage. So they're not likely to block with Aerial Guide because they know, well, it's got First Strike, so it would be a terrible block for them. And then Embalming is not casting a spell. So I think we'll Embalm Aven Initiate here. I don't mind making this trade. I mean, I can deal more damage attacking with the Aven Initiate. But Thorn Moloch could yeah, I guess I'm hitting back for 3, so taking 2 from Aerial Guide maybe isn't that bad. I've also got Thorn Moloch, so 2 threats. Alright. We're winning the race, so opponent's going to have to stop attacking soon. They cycle Countervailing Winds. It's definitely not as good for them as it was the first game for me. Cycle Sensor. Alright. Well, now I'm glad I didn't block with the Aven Initiate. So they can't afford to attack with Aerial Guide. Now, do I just open fire their face? Alright. Doesn't look like opponent is holding anything up, so let's just finish them off here. Open fire! I have to admit, I didn't sort of pay attention. I think when I was first reading open fire, I thought it said target creature, so I didn't realize I could target the opponent with it too, so that's actually a lot better. 3 mana, still, it's no lightning strike, but it's still pretty good. Worked out for us this game, that's for sure. Anyway, on we go. Okay, on the draw, I've got Seeker of Insight to loot extra lands, and I'm not particularly upset if my Seeker of Insight dies to my own board wipe. We've got double red for Hour of Devastation. Strategic Planning, or card draw. So I wouldn't mind some more interaction, but Hour of Devastation might help me catch back up, and Strategic Planning or Hieroglyphic Illumination, or for that matter, Seeker of Insight might help me find more interaction. So I think we'll try this. Opponent all in on Mabel. They've got the Mabel avatar, the Mabel sleeves, the Mabel companion or pet. I've also got Mabel since Bloomburrow is the current set, so might as well go with the Bloomburrow themed companion. Oh, opponent might have disconnected. That would be, oh, nope, they're in. That's good. Okay, so opponent leads, oh, Dread Wanderer, that's pretty strong. So I'll want the enchantment that taps down creatures to deal with Dread Wanderer. Although Seeker of Insight also blocks it. So as long as they don't remove the Seeker of Insight, which of course I suppose is a possibility. And the problem with Dread Wanderer is that it can be recurred from the graveyard if opponent empties their hand, which I'm assuming they'll be able to do. Alright. So far, opponent mono black. Trespasser's Curse. Alright, there's some interaction. So we are going to take damage off Trespasser's Curse for playing Seeker of Insight. But I think we do want the blocker. Alright, well, I guess there goes a land. I really hate discard effects. I want to play my cards. Opponent exiles Scarab Feast. That's actually fine. Scarab Feast is, we draw land, so discarding the land didn't really hurt us there. Scarab Feast is actually good against our deck because we care about instants and sorceries in the graveyard. Alright, so I think let's hold up open fire. We've got blocks on both their creatures so far. Opponent cycles Jarr's Resolve. Hit their second color, which is white. Alright, so... I think I'm going to have to open fire the Dread Wanderer, as much as I would prefer not to. But I can't afford to be taking 3 damage from a first striking creature with it, so... And then we can loot with Seeker of Insight. Deem worthy. Could discard a land. That could be a little risky. I guess with hieroglyphic illumination, maybe I don't need strategic planning. Tormenting Voice. Dauntless Aven. I can cycle Deem Worthy to remove that. I could also draw 2 with Hieroglyphic Illumination, and so I can hit my 5th land for Hour of Devastation. But I think I want to draw another threat before I play Hour of Devastation, so I have something to follow it up with. So I think we'll cycle Deem Worthy. I don't think black-white is going to have creatures I need to deal 7 damage to. Aven Initiate. So I currently don't need to Hour of Devastation. And I don't mind using Hour of Devastation with Aven Initiate because we can embalm it. And I'm not going to use Hour of Devastation to destroy 1 Miasmic Mummy. Opponent has also been missing their land drops. We take 1 off Trespasser's Curse. Trespasser's Curse, not as good against us as it would be against other. Opponent hits their 4th land. As I was saying, not as good against us as it would be against other decks because we play relatively few creatures. Alright, so I've got 5 lands for Hour of Devastation, so I think I discard this land to Tormenting Voice. Looks like opponent's got a response at instant speed. That's kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. I can always embalm Aven Initiate, so if they're using that as a defensive trick, then they're not going to have it, it's not available to them on the attack, so I think I don't mind that. And then I'm not going to loot with Seeker of Insight after casting Tormenting Voice. Enigma Drake. Could play Enigma Drake. I think we'll wait until we can hold up Essence Scatter. Opponent doesn't have any plays. They are missing their land drops. Haven't been able to return Dread Wanderer. Nimble Obstructionist. So I could flash in Nimble Obstructionist. I could also cast Hieroglyphic Illumination end of turn to draw 2 and activate Seeker of Insight. I think I like that better. I'll try to draw one of my bounce spells so I can protect. Seeker of Insight still blocks that. So I think we hold Essence Scatter for, say, a flyer. Alright, perfect. We get to discard a land. Thorn Moloch. Alright, let's play Enigma Drake. Alright, that is a big flyer. So we'll counter that with Essence Scatter. I don't really want to discard anything, so I'm not sure if I want to draw with Seeker of Insight. It's probably better to loot than not to, though, so we'll go for it. Might as well make use of his ability. Alright, and we draw a land. I don't mind discarding that. Alright, another open fire. Don't want to be casting too many creatures to trigger Trespasser's Curse, so I think we'll hold up our instance and we'll flash a Nimble Obstructionist if we don't need to do that. Alright, protection of the Heckma. Really not that big a problem. Okay, so opponent is empty-handed. It doesn't deal additional damage. Open fire does 3 damage to any target, so I can kill the mummy with it, which I think I will. And we can draw and discard a land. And I think I will flash in the Obstructionist. Alright, so struggle can kill those who serve. I don't need to remove it. We're going to do... oh, and that's enough for a concession. So So with Protection of the Heckma, we were going to do 6, 7, 8. So opponent was on a 3-turn clock. And they were top decking, compared to our having 4 cards in hand, including our trump card, Hour of Devastation. Although Hour of Devastation looking increasingly worse the more creatures we play out, because we only have so many creatures. Fortunately, opponent, I guess they didn't feel that they were going to be able to draw into any more answers in time. So we'll take it. On we go. On the draw, 3 lands. Generally prefer 2 mountains because of Hour of Devastation, but I'm sure we'll draw one eventually. Hand's a little slow. I don't have any 2-mana play, but Open Fire should still be fine. Hieroglyphic Illumination, I think you can cycle that on 1 just to make Enigma Drake better, but I think it's more valuable to me as to draw 2. Countervailing Winds. If I had some way of discarding cards, like Strategic Planning to put 2 cards in the graveyard, well 3 because of Strategic Planning also going to the graveyard, then Countervailing Winds I think would be more interesting, but I might just cycle that on 2 because it's not looking very good right now. Unless, of course, I draw something like a Tormenting Voice or Strategic Planning between now and turn 2. I think we keep this. That's Countervailing Winds is also another argument for cycling Hieroglyphic Illumination because it puts a card in the graveyard. Opponent leads with Desert of the Indomitable, so I think this will be our first green opponent. So we could be interested in, oh, what was the name of this? The one that does 7 points of damage. We draw another land. Opponent is red-green. So Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs is a win condition for opponent, because they do have a desert. They control a desert. It's pretty slow, though, so if they can't deal with Enigma Drake, I should be able to easily outpace the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. You know, I think I will cycle Hieroglyphic Illumination. It's better for Enigma Drake, better for Countervailing Winds. Alright, so we draw Unquenchable Thirst. So, I mean, I could put Unquenchable Thirst on the wall, but I'm pretty sure that it would be better on something else. Alright, so I think we open fire that. I think we do that while opponent's tapped out. I don't want opponent exerting Watchful Naga and drawing a card. So let's do that while they're tapped out. Alright, they ping me with Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. That also makes countervailing winds better. Sidewinder Naga. I think, again, opponent missed their land drop. I think, again, we open fire while they're tapped out. Finally hits their land. Uh-oh. Alright, so we better Unquenchable Thirst that. While it's tapped. And then I could hold up Countervailing Winds. I've got 3 cards in the graveyard. So if they play a land, I can counter anything but a 2-drop. And then next turn I can play Enigma Drake or Thorned Moloch and hold up Countervailing Winds. So I think we'll do that. While Forgotten Pharaohs is looking better now that they've hit me with a Crocodile the Crossing once. Just double checking, 1, 2, 3. I think I will counter that. It's got prowess. Alright, so I could hold land in hand for Tormenting Voice, but playing it out lets me play Enigma Drake and Thorn Moloch. Opponent down to 2 cards in hand, stuck on 4. Naga Vitalist. So with Naga Vitalist, they are up to 5 mana. Ping me with Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs again. Not sure about discarding Essence Scatter. But it does make my Enigma Drake bigger. That was unfortunate. Alright, so they attack with Mega Vitalist. We're dead. Well, that was unfortunate. So, in retrospect, probably shouldn't have countered the 2-drop with my countervailing winds, but the problem is you can only go with the information you're presented. Drawing 2 lands off Tormenting Voice was pretty bad, although it didn't matter in this instance since they didn't play a creature. But if I'd had, say, played just one of Enigma Drake or Thorin Moloch and had a counterspell for the Gilded Ceradon, that would have been a lot better. So I think that I could have done that better. And then the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs, not a very good card by itself, but when you're also hitting your opponent with 5/4s for 4 and Gilded Ceradons, you can get the job done. Anyway, so that was too bad. Anyway, so the good news is whatever happens next, if we lose next game, we're done, but we've got 3 wins, and that's kind of the minimum you want for a Premier draft. So I'm pretty happy if we end up not doing any better. Obviously, I'd like to do better, but at least we got the 3 wins for an even record, so that's fine. Anyway, hopefully we do better. On we go. On the play, I've got a blocker and Seeker of Insight, some early interaction with Open Fire and Winds of Rebuke, Deemworthy, depending on the matchup, I can cycle it. I think we can keep this. Looking to draw a second red source for Hour of Devastation. Opponent also blue plays Slitherblade. Alright, so we might have to open fire that, since it can't be blocked. I guess I could also cycle Deemworthy. I could bounce it with Winds of Rebuke, but that's putting me at mana disadvantage to pay 2 mana to bounce a 1 mana creature. So I think we can afford to take 1 from Slitherblade to play Seeker of Insight. And we probably do destroy it by cycling Deemworthy rather than... I might need Open Fire for... Alright, so Fanbearer. Could be a problem. They don't need to tap my Seeker of Insight down right now. We draw our 5th land. In fact, we've drawn all lands so far, so I wouldn't mind using an Open Fire just to draw and discard with Seeker of Insight so I can pitch a land. I think we hold up our instants. Opponent plays Sun-Scorched Desert. Brings us for 1. We'll take 1 from Slitherblade. Ronus's Monument. I could bounce that. Probably better to bounce something bounce whatever they target with Winds of Rebuke. And I think I'm going to go ahead and open fire the Slitherblade to draw and discard with Seeker of Insight here. And that worked out, because now we can discard a land, draw another land. We'll bounce the Fan Bearer. Mill Hour of Devastation. Hit another land. Milling the two spells, I've drawn only lands. Alright, strategic planning. Opponent could be playing a counter spell. I don't think there's any counter spell for 1 mana. They can replay Fan Bearer and make Oketra's Avenger bigger. But they don't actually need to play Fan Bearer to attack with Oketra's Avenger. So I think we blow that up now while their opponent's basically tapped out. And draw and discard with Seeker of Insight. And we hit another land, so glad to discard that. And I'm pretty sure opponent won't have any haste creatures. Opponent's been missing their land drops, which is kind of a problem. We draw another land. And we would have drawn 2 more lands before hitting open fire. Alright, that's useful. So, Seeker of Insight and Strategic Planning getting us out of some flooding. We've discarded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands. And then I think we open fire the Dauntless Aven now, while opponent's tapped out. So we've drawn 12 lands in the top 20 cards. Unquenchable Thirst. Now, the problem with Ronus's Monument is that it triggers on cast. So even if I counter whatever creature they cast, they still give something else +2/+2. It might be worth playing Unquenchable Thirst on Fan Bearer, just so I'm not doing absolutely nothing with my mana. Because otherwise it can tap down my creatures. And I've still got Essence Scatter up for bigger threats. They'll still be able to hit me with Fanbearer once. Alright. I don't want to draw. I could. No, I can't attack because Fanbearer's on. So there's no point. Don't want to draw and discard with Seeker of Insight right now. Opponent, meanwhile, has had the opposite issue. They're hitting all gas. They haven't played a land since turn 3. And we draw another land. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lands in the top 23 cards. I have 4 lands left in the deck. The good news is that I'm mostly going to be drawing action from here on in. Alright, so we better counter that, although they can embalm it. For 6. That's going to be a 3 4 anyway, so we might as well trigger Seeker of Insight now. I don't want to draw and discard with these cards in hand, so I think we attack with Seeker of Insight. And I don't want to discard Essence Scatter to Tormenting Voice, in case I needed to counter a bigger threat, like Supply Caravan. Alright, I think I will discard Tormenting Voice to Tormenting Voice. And I think I won't attack with Seeker of Insight in case I want to use Seeker to discard a land. Now, this might be a mistake given, you'll remember from the first game where I did this and probably shouldn't have. Alright. We've got Open Fire, so we can use that to destroy the Aven Wind Guide if they embalm it. I still have Hieroglyphic Illumination for card draw. Okay. Those who serve could be a problem because Open Fire does not kill it, and I've already cast Deemworthy. There's Enigma Drake. Which, if opponent doesn't have removal for it, is going to close out the game in a hurry. The problem is, opponent has not had to use any removal, so if they have some in hand, they could easily have some in hand, and there's nothing I can do about it because I don't have countervailing winds. And lo and behold, they've got a compulsory rest. No blocks. Alright, Hieroglyphic Illumination. Okay, so 2 open fires can kill even a pumped up those who serve. And then we're looking for another flying threat. Opponent, meanwhile, still not hitting lands. They cycle 1. We don't mind that. Alright, so that's fine. Not sure I want to activate Seeker of Insight in case I draw something I don't want to discard, and then I have to choose to discard Open Fire or Hieroglyphic Illumination. Alright, even Initiate. Opponent hits their 6th land, so they could Embalm even Wind Guide. Well, unfortunately, alright, at least Embalming does not count as casting a creature spell. Alright, struggle. And destroy a creature they target with Ronus's Monument. Alright, so they embalm, even wind guide. We might just have to struggle that. Okay, so they attack with those who serve. Alright, so I think we double block those who serve and then struggle the Shimmer Scale Drake. Alright, Seeker of Insight can't block the flyers anyway. And then we'll flash in. Uh-oh. Okay, so hopefully this time it actually works. What? Why is it not countering? It's supposed. That's a triggered ability. It should have countered it. Well, now we're going to lose the game because apparently my rare, which is supposed to counter triggered abilities, does not counter triggered abilities. This is really obnoxious. Alright, so I kind of have to embalm Aven Initiate. I mean, they could have still attacked with Sacred Cat into the Nimble Obstructionist. But basically, any creature they play is going to win them the game. If the Nimble Obstructionist had worked, which it was supposed to do, I would have at least prevented 3 damage. So opponent cycles. Oh, we're also down to 2 cards, so we're going to mill out even if opponent doesn't kill us. Alright. We're tapped out, so whatever trick opponent has is going to get us, but there's nothing we can do about that. Now all of a sudden I'm wishing I was splashing green for survive because I'm down to 1 card, which is my other Enigma Drake, by the way. What happened to the Enigma Drake? There it is. So I'm basically dead to another creature. What does market is draw to discard to? I mean, I can cycle Countervailing Winds and draw my last card. Well, 3 and 3 it is. I've got lots of cards in graveyard, so pretty sure they won't be able to counter Countervailing Winds. I could draw and discard my last card. Yep, there's Enigma Drake. Alright. I don't know why opponent bothered. I'm dead anyway. And of course, once again, opponent just drew all the removal. So, we'll let them have their fun here. Well, that was disappointing. I'm glad I at least got 3 wins. Let's take a quick look at the deck here. So, turns out splashing Sphinx's Revelation, probably not a good idea, because we ended up drawing through our deck. We almost milled out in game 1. I should have gone out on my own turns that last game and milled myself, so they didn't get the pleasure of killing me. But flooding out, even though we were able to discard a lot of those extra lands with Seeker of Insight, for example, flooding out early that last game probably still did us in because we didn't draw enough action until too late. Whereas opponent, of course, mostly drew action because they hardly ever hit any land drops. So that was unfortunate. So maybe didn't hit the right balance in terms of spells versus threats. Because the problem with our threat light build is that any removal opponent had was effective against us. And we only had the one counter spell that countered non-creature spells, which was good pretty much every game we played it because our graveyard tended to be full because we were playing lots of instants and sorceries. I think what I've learned from this is that the next time Amonkhet Remastered comes around, if I end up in blue-red, I think you really actually want to go for the mill strategy if you're going with the spells heavy build, because it looks like there's enough removal that resolving threats and having them stick is going to be difficult, whereas if you can mill the opponent out, you're more likely to win games. And mill looks like it was reasonably well supported. There were several times where I could have taken a mill card, I think 5 or 6 times, and if we'd milled opponents out, like that first game, we could have milled the opponent. And if we still had Enigma Drake, That would have given us an alternate win condition against decks lighter on removal. So that's something to think about if I end up in blue-red next time there's an Amonkhet draft. But we'll see. It was still fun, getting to play with cards that I don't often get to see. Hour of Devastation actually would have been good in that game against the red-green opponent if I'd been able to blow up everything, including their ping wall and the Ceradon. I don't think I had that many creatures on board that I cared about not losing. So it would have been good there. It ended up really not working out for us in the end. The only game I think we actually played it, we were pretty much going to lose anyway. And we killed all of our threats. So it kind of didn't work out for us. So maybe I should have picked a different spell over it, like another Essence Scatter or something like that. But in a controlling deck like this, usually you're pretty happy to get a board wipe. But it ended up not really doing us any favors. Winds of Rebuke, we used it to bounce a token once, which was good. Milling 2 cards, usually helpful. That last game, milling Hour of Devastation and the other Winds of Rebuke, maybe not so good, because those would have been virtually our only non-land draws in quite a few turns. Strategic Planning was fine. I think loads of times we played Strategic Planning, we discarded 2 lands to it and got a spell, so it worked out. Essence Scatter was fine. Not so much that last game where opponent resolved Veronis' Monument, but countering creature spells, usually pretty good. Unquenchable Thirst, worked out pretty fine. Still triggered Seeker of Insight, even if it didn't work with Enigma Drake. Tormenting Voice was fine, although I ended up often, I think 2 times I cast it, I discarded the other copy of Tormenting Voice to the first one. Hieroglyphic Illumination was good, Open Fire was good, getting 4 copies was pretty nice. Dean Worthy, maybe should have held on to it that last game, but on the other hand, I did need to remove that creature that I ended up using it on. Struggle was fine, and it turns out that last game, it actually would have been a good thing if I'd been able to cast the Survive half, but we didn't come across any colorless fixing that we could have used, and I'm not sure if playing a couple basic forests would have been worth it. So that's how things went. Haven Initiate was fine. Thorn Moloch, not really that great. The problem is that it's only a 2/2 on blocks. You can enable it with Prowess, but you're usually not going to often be casting non-creature spells when opponent's attacking unless it's in response to opponent casting a spell. So if opponent's creatures are just bigger than the Thorn Moloch, you're not necessarily getting ahead of the game. And the Nimble Obstructionist, oh, I just realized that now, that it's when you cycle the Nimble Obstructionist. I should have read the card a little more closely. So that's why it didn't work. So there we go. That's an object lesson on why you need to read the cards. Although, to be honest, cycling it would not have been all that great anyway, because then we wouldn't have had it as a blocker. So maybe Nimble Obstructionist was not really a good first pick after all. So that's something to think of. Sometimes you get bamboozled by a card just because it's a rare or a mythic rare. So there's that. But I definitely did not pay close enough attention to the card. I'm sure everyone watching this will be screaming at me saying, it says when you cycle Nimble Obstructionist. And that's fair, so let me have it in the comments. Alright, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.